Let us spend at least 40 minutes in meditation. Then I ring the bell and start the talk. Since we all have been meditating, and some of us are teaching meditation, probably we don't need too many instructions. We just practice. Natti dhanam apanyasa ajnanatti ajayato yam nidhanancha apanyata save nibbana santike. There is no concentration without wisdom, no wisdom without concentration. One who has both wisdom and concentration is close to peace and emancipation. We want to continue this series of talks on Anapanasati Sutta. As we are practicing meditation and teaching meditation, it's better for us to get into some details of our theme. That is, we mentioned at the beginning that there are 21 exercises. 16 of them are on the body. Satipatthana, practicing Satipatthana, and method of practice Satipatthana are the three stages we must remember. Satipatthana is establishment of mindfulness. Then the meditation, Bhavana of mindfulness or practicing mindfulness, and method of practicing mindfulness. These three are clearly stated by the Buddha. In establishment of mindfulness, there are certain things we have to repeat. Asevana, Bhavana, Asevana, Bhavana, Paricita, Yanigata, Vatukata, Anuttita, Paricita, Susamaranta. The 8 progressive steps. Asevana, what do you call Yanikata, Vatukata, Anuttita, Paricita, Susamaranta. Asevana is repeating, associating with the subject. Asevana, Bhavana. And then Bhavana also is repetition. Yani katha means making it a vehicle. Vattu kathaya, making it our property. Anuttitaya, not getting out of it. not abandoning the practice. Parichita is making it a habit. Anuttita parichita susamarabdhaya, beginning well. These are the steps of practicing. So, mindfulness and mindfulness practice and the method of practice. This is the method. In this method, we should not divert from this practice. And that is why at the very beginning, Buddha said, Atapi sampajano satima vinaya loke abhijja domanasam. In Satipatthana Sutta, we read that. That applies to Anapanasati Sutta as well. Atapi is the very important word to remain in the practice. That is why Buddha said that Atapi has various rendering, that is striving, making effort, that has making effort is also one of the factors of Satipatthana method, practicing method, that belongs to Panya category, that is Sammapadhana, Sati, Samadhi, Viriya, Sati, Samadhi. In Mahachattarika Sutta, Buddha mentioned that these three pivots around the practice. These three are called cardinal factors, most important factors in the Noble Eightfold Path. They should be repeated again and again and again. And that is why the Buddha said that there are three elements that makes effort, right effort. What are the three elements? Arambha dhatu, Nikkama dhatu, and Parakkama dhatu. Beginning elements, proceeding elements, and achieving elements. And also we read in various places, Arabhata, Nikkamata, Yunjata Buddha Sasane, Dunata Machuno Senam, Nalagaram Kunjaram, Nalagaram Kunjaro. Arabhata start, that is Arambha dhatu. Nikkamata, proceed. Normally, sometimes when we are inspired by reading something, listening to a talk or discussion, we become very enthusiastic and get inspired, we get encouraged to practice. So we think we must do this right away. But next moment or next hour or next day, this initial enthusiasm become less interesting and we lose interest and slide it down. And the Buddha says, Arabhata nikkamata, don't stop it. Proceed. And just like an elephant crush a bamboo bush, Dunata Machuno Sena. Just like an elephant crushes a bamboo bush with his legs, feet, destroy Mara's enemy, Mara's, battalions. Marasena, Nalagarana Kunjaro. And that is the achievement element. And these three elements apply to our practice. Especially as most of us are monastics, we are dedicated and we teach meditation. And therefore it must come from our practice, our experience, our knowledge of Satipatthana, practice. And this also is an important aspect in the Noble Eightfold Path, right effort. Samvarapadana, Pahanapadana, Bhavanapadana, and Anurakkhanapadana. So the word Atape has such an extended meaning. So we have to keep it in mind. Sampajano, Satima, Vinayaloke, Avidya Domanasam. Mindful and with clear comprehension. Mindfulness and clear comprehension. Satima, Vinayaloke, Abhijja Domanasa. Covetousness and anger or resentment or ill will, we have to overcome. Covetousness is greed for others' possessions. Abhijja Domanasa, Vinaya Loke. The Loka here is ourselves. Our own body is our Loka with consciousness. Body with consciousness is our Loka, as Buddha has defined it in Samyutta Nikaya. So, out of these 21 exercises, 14 of them belong to body. Because body is the very gross object of our clinging attachment. Because it is visible, tangible, and therefore the Buddha has emphasized the mindfulness of body at the very outset of this discourse. So, at the last couple of days I forgot to mention this, but I thought it is very important for us to remember this. And we made this practice ardently, diligently, and with mindfulness. And the Buddha explained them as the important development of the 7 factors of enlightenment. We will discuss them later. Today I want to proceed with the rest of the things, and which I started a few days ago. So, in the mindfulness of body, the 14 exercises, the number one is mindfulness of breathing, and that is emphasized or elaborated in Anapanasati Sutta. At the end of each of these sections, Buddha said, Attikayoti vapanasya sati pattupatita hoti yavadeva jnanamattaya pati satimattaya anissitoti viharati nachakintu loke upadayati. That means this body exists. Mindfulness established of the mindfulness of this body, we become mindful of the body, that it exists. The body exists jnanamattaya, only for awareness. We must become mindful of the fact that this body exists. Jnanamattaya pati satimattaya. This body exists for us to establish our mindfulness. This body exists for us to establish mindfulness. Pati satimattaya. Anissitoja viharati. This body exists for us to become aware, to develop mindfulness, but not to cling to. Not to cling to it. Nachakintu loke upadhyati. It is translated as not to cling to anything in the world. That means this body exists for us to become mindful of to establish mindfulness, but not to cling to the body, not in the world means not external world. We are clinging not so much to external world, but we cling to ourselves, our own body. Why is that? This is called, when we cling to the body, we build up our sakkaya ditthi. When we cling to the body, we develop our wrong view of existing permanent self. What is sakkaya ditthi? Sakkaya is one, sakkaya ditthi is another. Sakkaya is the 5 aggregates. Sakkaya ditthi is the view in these five aggregates there is permanent self. So when we cling to the body, we develop at the same time a thought or view that there is some permanent entity in it. So that is why we cling to it. When we establish mindfulness, that this body actually gain insight into the fact that this body actually for us to gain mindfulness, develop mindfulness in order to see it as it is. When we develop mindfulness, what knowledge and awareness we gain is that this body is to see the body exactly as it is. When we say exactly as it is, what do we mean by that? We mean, the Buddha wanted us to understand that this body is always in a state of flux. This body is always in a state of flux. It's changing, not static. There is not a fixed anything in this body, nothing fixed. Everything is in motion. So, attikaya tvapana sati patipatitavati yavadeva jnanamattaya ati satimattaya anisitoja viharati, and therefore nacha kinchaloki upadhyati. Therefore, there is the practitioner, meditator, does not cling to anything in this body, the world, this world, in our world. Why and how and why we cannot cling to this body and mind? Because it is always moving, always changing. Nothing is fixed. Only if something is fixed, then we can grab hold onto it. When something is always in a state of flux, moving, changing, we cannot grab hold. And anisita, that is why the Buddha said, nisitancha chalati. When you lean against something, you are unsteady. Because what you lean against, when it falls, you fall. If you are independent, standing on your own 2 feet, you are steady. Normally, ordinary people who do not develop mindfulness, what is called putujjana, they always lean against something for their support. They have to depend on something. As long as you depend on something, you are unsteady, not independent. And therefore, anisthitota viharati. Don't depend on something. And nacha kinchaloke upadhyati. Don't cling to, should not have any upadhi. That's upadhyati. That means don't cling to anything. Upadhi, upadhi, the same. So nacha kinchaloke upadhyati. Upadhyati is a verb, upadhi is noun. So the upadhyati comes from the same root. Anisthitota nacha kinchaloke upadhyati. And Buddha repeated this 14 times in mindfulness of the body. At the end of Anapana, mindfulness of breathing. At the end of postures. At the end of clear comprehension, mindfulness and clear comprehension. At the end of foulness, awareness of practicing foulness of the body, 32 parts of the body. At the end of 4 elements, and at the end of 9 stages of corpse. That is altogether 14. At the end of each of the sections in these 14, Buddha mentioned this. And in Anapanasati Sutta, Buddha did not elaborate like that. But what is stated in Satipatthana is implied in the practice of mindfulness of breathing, because mindfulness of breathing number, first tetrad is mindfulness of the body. Now, when you practice mindfulness of the body, in the way that Buddha has explained, we develop, Buddha said, the meditator developed 7 factors of enlightenment. And 7 factors of enlightenment. Number 1 is mindfulness, factor of enlightenment. Now, it is very interesting when we say we practice mindfulness. When we practice mindfulness, automatically we develop mindfulness factor of enlightenment. There is no separate practice. We practice mindfulness factor of enlightenment. It is stated in the discourse, okay. It states, in one whose body is on translation we can see, a bhikkhus who do the 4 foundations of mindfulness development. Bhikkhus, on whatever occasion a bhikkhu abides contemplating the mind, contemplating the body as body, ardent, fully aware, and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world, on that occasion, unremitting mindfulness is established in him. On whatever occasion unremitting mindfulness is established in a bhikkhu, on that occasion, the mindfulness enlightenment factor is aroused in him, and he develops it, and by development, it comes to fulfillment in him. So, whoever, although it is mentioned a bhikkhu, but whoever practices the mindfulness of breathing, mindfulness of the body, that section, we said in the first cataract is mindfulness of the body. When one practices it in that way, one would end up in practicing the mindfulness factor of enlightenment. It is called unremitting mindfulness, is sati asammutta. Sati asammutta. One would not forget the mindfulness practice. That means when we always keep repeating the mindfulness practice again and again and again, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 day, 2 days, and so forth, anytime we practice mindfulness meditation, that end up in the practice of one factor of enlightenment. That is mindfulness factor of enlightenment. Sati Sambojjhanga. As we know, it is a fact, a bodhi anga. Our limbs also called anga. Similarly, attainment of enlightenment has factors. This is one of the factors. Altogether, there are 37. These 37 put into 7 categories and made it one category is, one of the 7 categories is 7 factors of enlightenment. 4 foundations of mindfulness, 4 striving, 4 faculties, 4 bala, 4 strength, 5 indriya, 5 faculties, and 5 indriya, saddha, sati, adi, etc. And 7 factors of enlightenment, Noble Eightfold Path. These are 37. Out of them, this factor of enlightenment is completed when we practice mindfulness of breathing in the way that Buddha has explained. Now, then we see the mindfulness of the feelings. In Anapanasati Sutta, mindfulness of feeling is not explained in the way that Anapanasati, what is called, Satipatthana Sutta explained. In Anapanasati Sutta, mindfulness of feeling is explained, states as, you may remember, Piti Parisamvedi Asisani Sikati, Piti Parisamvedi Pasisani Sikati, Sukha Parisamvedi Asisani Sikati, Sukha Parisamvedi Pasisani Sikati, Vasambha, what do you call it? Sabda Sankara Parisamvedi Asisani Sikati, Sabda Sankara Parisamvedi Pasisani Sikati. So, he turns thus: I shall breathe in experiencing the rapture. He turns thus: I shall breathe out experiencing rapture. He turns thus: I shall breathe in experiencing pleasure. He turns thus: I shall breathe out experiencing pleasure. Sukha Patisangvedi. And Chitta Sankara, I trance thus He says, thus I shall breathe in experiencing mental formation. He says, thus I shall breathe out experiencing mental formation. He says, thus I shall breathe in tranquilizing the mental formation. He says, thus I shall breathe out tranquilizing the mental formation. What is the mental formations? Sanya Vedana, perceptions and feeling. So the second tetrad of the Anapanasati Sutta deals with perceptions and feeling, as goes Chitta Sankara, and it is called Chitta Sankara because Sanya and Vedana in the first tetrad we also had perceptions and feelings, but it emphasized on the breath as what you call Kaya Sankara. But in this feeling is emphasized. And Buddha said, Vedanasu 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 Vedananyataram Bhikkhave evam vadami yaddan asas pasasam sadhukam manasikaram. There Buddha said, repeats, Tasmate Bhikkhave Vedanasu Vedananupasi Tasmin Same Bhikkhu Virati Virati Atapi Sampajano Satman Vinayuka Vidya Domanasa. Now, at the beginning of this discourse, this sentence is not mentioned. Atapi Sampajano Satima Vinayaloki Avidya Domanasa, he did not mention at the beginning. But now, in detailed explanation, he mentioned that. And therefore, it says, it means, I say that this is certain feeling among feelings, namely, giving close attention to in-breathing and out-breathing. That is why on that occasion, a bhikkhu avoids contemplating feeling as feeling, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief with the world. Now this is the time he feels Piti Parisamvedi and Sukha Parisamvedi. Piti and Sukha are dealt with separately because these are two mental states. Piti and Sukha. What is the difference? Piti and Sukha. Piti is what is translated as I shall breathe in, experiencing mental formation. I shall breathe out. No. Okay. I shall breathe in rapture and pleasure. Rapture and pleasure. Piti is called rapture, Sukha is called pleasure. What is the difference between these two? Piti is arising in anticipation of something. Sukha is experiencing when you fulfill what you expected, what you anticipated. There is I give you a simile. I think this simile is we find in Vibhanga, Abhidhamma, Vibhanga. The simile is that somebody is traveling in the desert. When he is traveling in the desert, he sees he is very dry, thirsty, tired, and hungry, and so forth, and he is traveling. Then somebody comes towards him, his body is wet, his clothes are wet, he looks very fresh and not tired like him, like the other person. So the person who is dry, thirsty, and so forth would ask the person who is fresh, his clothes are wet and so forth. He would ask him, Mister, I am traveling in the same desert, and I am tired, I am dry, I am thirsty, but you look very fresh. What is the secret? He would say, Mister, I came across an oasis, the little pond in the desert. I jumped into it, ate lotus buds, I swam, drank water, and relaxed, and I'm coming. When you hear that, the one who is dry, thirsty, tired, when he hears that report, he would become very enthusiastic. He is looking forward to that. So in anticipation of seeing that lake, he walked towards that direction. As he is walking towards that direction, he sees birds flying towards the lake. And as he goes further, he can hear children, talking, laughing, and so forth, playing, and so forth. And when he goes further forward, then he can hear children jumping into water and playing in water. And as he goes further, he can see the lake. Now, until such time, he is enjoying piti. Enjoying piti. That is why piti is explained in 5 ways, 5 kinds of piti. Kuddaka, kanika, okantika, parana, ubbega. Kuddaka is very tiny little tingling. Kanika is stays longer. Kanika, ubbega, parana, ubbega. Then last stage of piti is like you feel uplifting your whole body. So this person moves towards that, see the lake, he was so delighted. He also would jump into the water, swim, eat lotus bud, and drink water, and spend a lot of time in the water, and then comes out, stretching and lying on the bank of the lake, stretching in hands and legs, and saying, oh, what a pleasure. That is a fulfillment. So this is the difference between joy and pleasure. Joy is in anticipation of something. It arises by degrees, and pleasure is the fulfillment of that expectation. So, Priti Parasamvidya Sisane Sikati, how does he get that Priti? He gets this Priti by, in the last tetrad, you have Asambhayankaya Sankara, tranquilizing. The body became tranquil, so relaxed. Just like the one who came out of the lake is relaxed. Is relaxed. In the description of the first, this state is the attainment of the jhana. In the simile, you hear that that person's body is filled with joy and happiness. It's like using what you call bath powder. You take the bath powder, put into a bathtub, and pour water slowly and stirring it. You stir the water with you put bath powder, and I don't know whether they had bath powder like today, but in the Buddha's time, I mean, this is the simile given. And put bath powder into the bathtub and pouring water little by little, and then stirring it to mix the bath powder with water. And water and bath powder assimilate in the water, and it is inseparable. Similarly, one who attains this state is the first jhana. His body is, every pore in his body is filled with joy and happiness of the first jhanic attainment. This is the description of the first jhanic attainment. Priti Sukha. Now, let me divert your attention to something else with regard to this first jhana. First jhana has its qualities. Okay. First jhana qualities. I think I had them somewhere here. Okay. There is a discourse in Majjhima Nikaya. I think I mentioned it casually somewhere. It's called Anupada Sutta. Sutta number 111. In that discourse, Buddha explained Venerable Sariputta's analysis and experience of the first jhana and all the jhana. And his awareness of the factors of all the jhanas. Normally, we know the first jhana, 5 factors are eliminated and 5 factors are present. What are the factors eliminated from the first jhana? Kamachanda, Vyapada, Thinamidda, Uddhata, Kukucha, Vichikicha, 5 hindrances. Sense pleasures, ill will, sleepiness and drowsiness, restlessness and worry, and doubt. These are overcome. And the jhanic factors present are initial application, sustained application, joy, happiness, and concentration. Vitakka, vichara, priti, sukha, ekagrata. Now, we want to be very specific about vitakka, vichara. What is vitakka, vichara? Initial application of thought and sustained application of thought. I think my understanding of these two, this must be consistent with the Buddha's teaching, Buddha's jhana, the way Buddha explained jhana. That is, it must match with the Noble Eightfold Path. Because jhana is the last stage of Noble Eightfold Path, Samma Samadhi. In that Samma Samadhi, we have these 4 jhanas. And these 4 jhanic factors, say, for instance, first jhana, jhanic factors must always be agree with the Noble Eightfold Path. In the Noble Eightfold Path, we have 3 factors. Samma Sankappa. Samma Sankappa. This Sankappa, Vitakka are synonymous. Sometimes it's called Sankappa, sometimes it's called Vitakka. Here, the word Vitakka is used to mean Sankappa. That means Sankappa and Vitakka are not different things. The same thing. What is, therefore, Vitakka here is Nekkhamma Vitakka, Avyapada Vitakka, Avihisa Vitakka. The thought of letting go or thought of renunciation, number 1, Sankappa, Nekkhamma Sankappa. The word Nekkhamma means letting go, abandoning. In other words, generosity. You let go of your greed as a hindrance. When you let go of your greed, it is Nekkhamma Sankappa, thought of letting go. Thought of living friendliness, metta. Sometimes people translate it as loving kindness, but I have certain disagreement with that, because kindness is mentioned under karuna. So we don't have to repeat karuna again under metta. Metta comes from the root mitta. Mitta sabhava metta. Mitta sabhava metta. It's bhava kriya. Bhava nama. So, since it came from that root, The translation should be loving friendliness. Metta means friend. Anyway, the number two of thought, second thought, first is in letting go, letting go of desire, nekkhamma sankappa, nekkhamma vitakka. Second is avyapada vitakka. Avyapada means non-ill will. Non-ill will means metta. Metta means loving friendliness. That thought. And then avihimsa vitakka, compassion. So there are three vitakkas. Nekkhamma vitakka, avyapada vitakka, avihimsa vitakka. So this is all together clustered together, put as one unit, and so vitakka. When we expand vitakka, we get these three states of mind. Nekkhamma, avyapada, avihimsa. Renunciation, metta, and compassion. When we attain the first jhana, these are the thoughts we have. Nekkhamma vitakka arise because we let go of our greed as one of the hindrances. Avyapada vitakka arises because when we let go of ill will, kamacchanda vyapada, we let go of vyapada. Then arises metta. And of course, when metta arises, compassion arises together. These two come together. In the four Brahma Vihara, metta, karuna. These two. When metta arises, karuna definitely arises. So when we want to attain the first jhana, we have the thought of letting go, thought of friendliness, thought of compassion. And what is the sustained thought? Sustaining means maintaining the same thought, same three thoughts. But somewhere else, this initial thought and sustained thought explained in a certain different way, which does not meet with Noble Eightfold Path. It has nothing to do with the Noble Eightfold Path. Buddha talked about Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. Samma Samadhi. In Samma Samadhi, the factors must match with the Noble Eightfold Path. Other Samadhi, there were people who were practicing other Samadhi before Buddha came into existence. So they attained Samadhi, they attained jhanas. So we must make the distinction, a difference between their jhanas and this jhana. This is called Samma Samadhi. Their Samadhi is Miccha Samadhi. Whatever people describe as Samadhi is can be Miccha Samadhi. So Miccha Samadhi description does not fit with the Samma Samadhi. Samma Samadhi must be always must go with the Noble Eightfold Path or the Buddha's teaching. That is Samma Samadhi, Buddha's teaching. So, and then when Sariputta attained this jhana, you know, when Sariputta is very, Buddha said, this is my son, this is my Mukato Jato. Dhammajo, Dhammajato. That is how Buddha described Sariputta. It's the Buddha's mouth. Muktoja, Buddha's mouth is Sariputta's mouth. Because when Buddha sometimes taught Dhamma, and sometimes he was tired and had aches and pains, and he would say, Sariputta, could you continue this? I don't want to lie down. No, he lied down. When the Sariputta continued the sermon, Buddha started. Who can do that? Nobody can do that. Sariputta, therefore, is Mukhato Jata. Buddha's Sariputta is Buddha's mouth. I mean, not literally, but figuratively, he has Buddha's mouth. Anyway, Sariputta, Venerable Sariputta, explained every detail of his attainment one by one in a very clear, distinct language. That is why this course is called Anupada. Word, step by step, word by word. Everything he explained as he experienced. Normally, we all know when we meditate, we have a lot of experiences. We cannot explain all of them in detail after getting out of meditation. We forget. So many things are happening. After meditation, after the sitting, after that period, we forget. But Venerable Sariputta was able to identify each of them while he was in meditation, and he was able to explain it after meditation. That is a very special skill. Anyway, friends, I will continue this tomorrow. Don't have time now. My time is up. And we continue this tomorrow. If I forget, you remind me tomorrow. Okay? And go. Good.